Okay, let's talk about what your clinic is actually worth. I'm Dave Matta. I'm the founder of PT Biz, and in the last, 11 years, I've started my own clinic. I've sold that clinic. I've helped over 1,000 clinicians start, grow, and scale, and even some sell their own clinics as well. Mostly cash practices, but some hybrid practices. And recently, I've had the opportunity to be a part of and help with the sale process of a few clinics. These are cash-based clinics, and I think it's important to share with you where the marketplace is at and a little bit more information about what your business might actually be worth. So what I want to do is share the current kind of numbers and ways to look at your business as an asset, because some advice that I got when I first started my clinic was to literally stop investing in anything besides myself and my clinic, which for me was actually a really hard thing to do. I had been, diligently saving for retirement, right? Which is a long way away, since the time that I was 18 years old. And a little bit of an anomaly. Most people are not doing that. So, but for me, it was, even if it was a small amount, I was putting money away every single month. That was a really hard thing to do, and I didn't quite understand it. And the advice, though, I think is spot on. And I would give the same advice to anybody else that has their own business, especially in early stage of your business. You don't want to take money from your business when you can put it back in your business and grow that business, because that's an asset. It's a huge asset that you have control over that's going to grow much faster than almost anything else you can do with that money. It's going to compound faster. But it's hard to see that versus putting money into an investing account or whatever it might be, where you can actually see, I have this much money in there now. My Roth IRA or my 401k looks like this. So what can you do? Well, you can take the metrics that I'm going to go over and give yourself like a pseudo valuation of your business. This is by no means a business valuation that's formal, just so you know, but it gives you an idea of kind of where you're at and where your business is trending, so that you might feel better about the fact that you're not saving money anywhere else in these early stages. You're focusing on building your business back up. So looking at sales of practices. These are individual practices, by the way, that range between, on the low end, about $700,000 in gross revenue to anywhere between that and about $1.5 million. Those are the sizes of these practices. And what we're seeing is multiples, or like the amount that you would multiply the valuation or the metric of the business that we're going to use to track this to get the actual value of the business. So let's talk about these things that you're going to want to track and what these multiples are. So number one, there's something called owner's discretionary income, or they call it seller's discretionary income. I prefer to track this every month myself in any business that I have, as well as in practices that we work with. This is a metric that we use to try to simplify what people are actually making in their business, because it's kind of confusing, right? Because you may have things that you're paying for in your business that are also like things you would have paid for personally, whether that be healthcare or your phone, things like that. So when you look at what you pay yourself, that's essentially your owner's discretionary income, and you would add in whatever profit you also have in the business as well. So let's say that you paid yourself $80,000. You had $10,000 in sort of discretionary purchases that you had during the month or during the year, and another $10,000 in profit. That means you had $100,000 in seller's discretionary income or owner's discretionary income. This is all pre-tax, by the way, because you're obviously only going to get taxed on something that you make a profit on. So let's say it's $100,000 of owner's discretionary income. That's what we take the multiple to. So the multiple is what a business is willing to pay you for this income stream, essentially, to own it. And that can vary vastly based on industry and size of business, how long it's been around, many factors that go into that. As of right now, we're seeing anywhere between 3 and 5x times your owner's discretionary income is the range that we're seeing businesses sell at that are individual practices in the size that I just mentioned. And it has to do also with your profitability, right? So your owner's discretionary income, that's $100,000. Let's say you have $100,000 of owner's discretionary income and the business is making $500,000. That means you're at 20%. if you have a $1 million clinic, top line revenue, and you're making $100,000 of owner discretionary income, that means that you're at 10%. That's not going to be as valuable to a clinic as a clinic that has higher revenue percentages, unless you're the one doing all the work. So to throw a bucket of cold water on this, if you're the one doing everything, if you are incredibly involved in fulfillment of the business in particular, you're seeing a ton of patients, your business is going to be worth less than somebody that's not doing a lot of that and not really as involved in the business, but maybe is doing like higher level things, because as someone can buy that and you're not, they're not as dependent on you actually like leveraging your relationships, seeing patients, there's not as much risk, right? So the less active you are in the business, the more it's typically going to be worth as well. So let's just say you're wanting to use this metric, this information to start tracking what your own business is worth. Well, here's what you can do. You can take your owner's discretionary income, add that up. Again, it's what you paid yourself. It's the things that you're paying for that would probably pay for personally if you didn't have a business to run those through, and then whatever profit you have. This is all pre-tax, right? So in our scenario, let's say it's $100,000. Well, you would take that, and I would be conservative with that because no one wants to overestimate what they think their business is worth and find out that it's worth less than that, and just multiply it by 3. And that's a good place for you to start. So let's say you're a couple years into business and you're at that $100,000 mark of owner's discretionary income. Well, technically your business is worth $300,000 if you were to sell it, right? So now instead of you, looking at a investing account, or you're pulling up your, whatever Vanguard account and seeing what your actual like investments are, now you can say, well, my private company asset is worth $300,000. And you can start to track that, over the years and start to see what that asset is growing into versus not really knowing. And I think this is the challenge for a lot of us is like, we have these businesses and we don't really know how to assign value to those. It's not as easy as a publicly traded company. So we don't really know, but it's a huge part of your net worth. I'm telling you, for many of you, it's probably the biggest part of your net worth. So you should track that. You should be aware of it, and you should know that there's value that you're building there. Because look, starting a business is hard. Running a business is hard. Growing a business is hard. It's like, I get it. It's challenging. You run into shit that you have to deal with. You have super highs and super lows. And in some ways, it does help offset some of that if hey, all my work is compounding into something of meaningful value to yourself and your family. And if you are fortunate enough and you work on the right things and you build your business in the right way, you can absolutely sell any type of practice, whether it's insurance-based, hybrid, cash-based. There's a market for it. And this is one big change that I've seen over the last decade, by the way. When I started my clinic, I had a mentor that I very much respect, and he's incredibly smart business owner in the physical therapy space that had physical therapy clinics that were insurance based. And I remember when I started my cash based clinic, he told me, he was like, just know, like, you're basically creating a job for yourself. This is not something that's going to like have enterprise value and you're going to be able to sell it. And I was okay with that because I want to treat people a certain way, right? I was teaching a lot, so I was traveling a lot. I wanted to work with people one-on-one. I wanted to focus on, the more performance side of things that I was very interested in. And so I was fine with that. I'll take a lifestyle business versus going and working in somebody's high volume clinic. Well, obviously it's not the case because I sold my clinic. We've helped a number of people sell their clinics. Like, these are cash-based clinics. It's happening. I'm sure there's transactions that are happening that I don't even know about in the country. And I've had a handful of conversations with private equity firms and investment bankers that are actually purchasing these businesses. And the fact that you're less dependent on insurance is actually a significant positive for them because you control your own pricing. You have more direct to consumer marketing channels. You're not as dependent on a hospital system or a physician to refer people to you. If that turns off, that's a big risk. There's actually a lot of benefits that end up going that direction, which ironically, when I started my business, nobody thought existed, and they do now. So the profession, this part of the profession has evolved. It's grown, which is really cool to see. And you, as a business owner, you now have a chance to grow a business in a field that is becoming more popular to people that might want to buy businesses, whether those are individual investors, which we've helped with transactions like that. Maybe it's a outside investor, maybe it's a clinician that wants to buy it and run it. Maybe it's a private equity firm, maybe it's a strategic acquisition from a bigger clinic. There's lots of scenarios, but what I'm telling you is your business is going to be worth something. Either it's worth something right now if it's big enough and you're able to have enough work that other people are doing, you're not doing everything yourself, or if you're in that stage and you're growing it, it could very well be worth a lot of money one day. And this is how you sort of assign some value to it, so you can sort of see that grow over time and keep you motivated, because it is really hard. It's like really hard to stay motivated in your business. And you hear people like myself or other people might say like, yeah, you can exit these businesses, you can sell these businesses, and you may never want to sell it, to be totally fair. You may have no interest in it whatsoever, but you might one day. And for a lot of people, they don't have any sort of like exit strategy. They don't know what they're going to do. They're not really building a business in a way that somebody would even want to buy it. And you can't sell your job, right? Like if you work somewhere in a clinic, you can't just sell your job to somebody else whenever you leave. You just leave and then they fill your job. But if you own your own business, you could sell your business for a lot of money. And now all of a sudden, this idea of retirement and people worried about if they've saved enough and the stress around that, like in the most part, like that disappears because you have this windfall of money that you've earned in this private company that you've built, just as if you were investing in a public company. And now you have a way to track it and to stay motivated with the work that you have to do. But net, here's the bottom line. These businesses are more sellable than ever. I assume, and obviously nobody knows what things will look like over the next 5 to 10 years, but if I had to guess and I had to like make an educated guess on what I think is going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years, I think these types of businesses become even more attractive to investors because, again, of the lack of reliance on insurance, the growth that we're seeing in these, the elevated profit margins as well, by the way, like just being able to control your pricing allows you to have better profit margins in these businesses. The recurring streams of services that these businesses can have where you can, don't have to worry about getting a ton of people in every single month and then discharging them. We actually have more lifetime value in recurring services, which is way more valuable than a sort of, get them in and churn patients in and out sort of model, which is traditionally, what PT has done. And investors are looking at these, so I think you're in a good spot to build a business like this. It's cool to be in a field that's growing and becoming more accepted and valuable to the marketplace, so it's proof of concept and it's driving in a direction that, obviously has more change that's going to happen, but I think in a very positive way. So overall, I think you're in a great spot. I'm obviously very happy with where the profession is trending for the people that we work with, for the profession as a whole, for the people that we get a chance to work with. And now you have an opportunity to really assign a little bit of value to your own clinic so that you can, see what that's worth, because it is worth something. And if you track it, it's great to see that and keep you motivated for the work you're doing, because it is a hard thing to do, start, run, and grow a business. So I hope this helps you. And as always, thank you so much for listening and watching if you're watching the YouTube channel, and I'll catch you next week.